Mound soil without a frame. Grandma always said you don't need fancy lumber to build a proper raised bed. Instead, simply mound rich, loosen soil right onto the ground about 8 inches to 1 foot high. Shape the sides gently with a shovel to create a sloping mound, helping prevent erosion when it rains. Mounded beds allow for better drainage, earlier planting, and warmer soil temperatures in spring. Before planting, be sure to mix compost into the top layers to feed your crops right from the start. Each season, add a little more compost and soil to maintain the mound's height and keep nutrients replenished, ensuring your garden stays productive and healthy year after year. Fill beds with logs and sticks. Before you pour expensive soil into a new raised bed, follow this traditional homesteading hack and fill the bottom with rotting logs, sticks, and dried plant matter. This method, called Hugelkultur, saves money, improves drainage, and creates a slow-release nutrient system as the wood decomposes. Stack large logs on the bottom, medium branches next, and then top it all with a layer of rich compost and topsoil. As the wood breaks down, it retains moisture, reducing the need for constant watering. Always choose untreated hardwoods like oak or maple, as they decompose slowly and continue feeding your soil for years without introducing harmful chemicals. Use wire under beds for gophers. Grandma always insisted on laying a barrier before filling a raised bed to outsmart gophers and moles. To do the same, stretch heavy-duty hardware cloth or galvanized wire mesh across the bottom of your bed frame before adding soil. Staple it tightly to the wood to ensure no gaps exist along the edges. The small mesh openings prevent burrowing pests from reaching your tender vegetable roots, protecting your harvest season after season. Make sure to bend or flatten sharp wire edges against the frame so they don't interfere with root growth or cause injury during planting and maintenance. Burlap sacks for moisture retention. When summers turned dry, Grandma always had a simple trick: old burlap sacks. Cut the sacks into large sheets and lay them between plant rows or over bare soil to keep moisture in the ground longer. Burlap slows evaporation while allowing airflow to the roots and breaks down naturally into the soil. It's the perfect biodegradable mulch that reduces the need for constant watering during hot months. Lightly dampen the burlap during the hottest days to create a cooling layer, helping young seedlings thrive without heavy water use and promoting healthier overall plant growth. Whitewashing beds to protect from heat or weather. Sun and rain take a toll on garden beds, but Grandma had an answer for that too. Whitewashing. Mix hydrated lime, water, and a pinch of salt to create an old-fashioned whitewash paint. Brush it onto the outside of wooden bed frames to reflect sunlight, deter pests, and prevent the wood from drying and cracking. Whitewashing doesn't just protect your beds, it also gives your garden a bright, charming appearance. For the best results and year-round protection, reapply a fresh coat every early spring, ensuring both beauty and resilience against the elements. Wrap beds with bubble foil. Protect your plants from extreme temperature swings by wrapping your raised beds with bubble foil insulation. Staple or tack sheets of bubble foil around the outer walls of the bed, shiny side facing out to reflect sunlight and stabilize soil temperature. This method helps keep the soil warmer during cold snaps and cooler during intense heat. Traditional gardeners often use whatever's available to shield crops naturally, and bubble foil works perfectly without the need for electricity. Be sure to leave the top open so plants still receive air circulation and light. In very windy areas, reinforce the foil with garden twine or small boards so it stays in place all season long. Use organic compost to skip fertilizers. Organic compost can replace the need for commercial fertilizers entirely if used properly. Fill the top third of your raised beds with rich, mature compost made from kitchen scraps, yard waste, and manure. This natural material is loaded with nutrients and beneficial microbes that improve soil structure and boost plant health. Many gardeners rely heavily on compost for strong, productive gardens without synthetic chemicals. To maintain soil fertility year after year, continue adding a fresh 2-inch layer of compost every spring and fall. Over time, your soil will become darker, richer, and capable of feeding crops all on its own. Mulch to save moisture and stop weeds. Mulching is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to boost a raised bed garden's success. Cover exposed soil between plants with 2 to 3 inches of straw, shredded leaves, bark chips, or grass clippings. Mulch conserves moisture, suppresses weeds, and keeps soil temperatures more consistent. Many gardens layer thick, clean straw around vegetable beds right after transplanting seedlings. It's important to avoid piling mulch directly against plant stems, which can encourage rot. As mulch decomposes, it also adds valuable organic matter to your soil, improving its health over time without needing extra fertilizers or amendments. Water directly at the roots. Instead of spraying plants overhead, water directly at the roots where it matters most. Use a watering can with a narrow spout, drip irrigation, or soaker hoses to deliver moisture straight to the soil, avoiding wet leaves that can invite disease. Gardeners typically rely on simple watering methods focused on the base of plants to conserve water and promote deeper root growth. Early morning is the best time to water, allowing leaves to dry off if they do get splashed. Water deeply and less frequently to encourage strong, drought-resistant plants throughout the entire growing season. Mark measurements on bed edges. To save time and improve spacing accuracy, mark measurements directly onto the edges of your raised bed frames. Use a permanent marker or wood-burning tool to create inch or foot markers along the top rails. Gardeners often work without fancy gadgets, relying instead on these simple, lasting marks to plant seeds and transplants with proper spacing. Accurate planting improves air circulation, reduces competition for nutrients, and maximizes yields. For best durability, seal the wood after marking it to prevent fading. With clear, visible guides right at your fingertips, every planting job becomes faster and more efficient. Make planting grids with string. Creating neat planting rows doesn't require fancy tools. Start by measuring equal intervals along the sides of your raised bed and installing small nails, screws, or eye hooks. Then stretch twine or biodegradable garden string across both directions, forming a grid pattern over the soil. This makes planting seeds, bulbs, or seedlings more uniform and helps you use space more efficiently. Gardeners often do this early in the season to avoid overplanting and allow proper airflow. Use different colors of string for rotating crops or labeling zones, which helps when managing mixed beds or companion planting. Use shade cloth on tunnels for sun protection. When the sun gets intense, sensitive crops like lettuce, kale, or spinach can suffer. Stretching shade cloth over low tunnels helps shield your plants from harsh rays while still allowing airflow. Use flexible PVC or metal hoops anchored in the bed, then clip breathable shade cloth across the top. This creates a cooler microclimate beneath the cover. Traditional farmers often rotate between light and heavy shade covers based on the month. For added versatility, sew Velcro strips to the edges so you can roll up sides easily for airflow during cloudy or mild days. Build PVC low tunnels. A low tunnel is one of the most effective ways to extend your growing season. Start by cutting half-inch PVC pipe into 5 to 6 foot lengths. Bend each into a U shape and insert both ends into the soil or anchor them to your raised bed sides, spaced about 2 to 3 feet apart. Drape row covers, clear plastic, or mesh over the hoops depending on the weather or pests you're facing. In most traditional gardens, these tunnels are reused year after year. Add plastic clips or clothespins for quick fastening, so materials stay secure even in strong winds. Add crushed stone for drainage. When Grandma built her beds, she always began with proper drainage. Before adding your soil mix, spread a 3 to 4 inch layer of crushed stone or pea gravel across the bottom of the bed. This helps water drain efficiently, keeping roots from becoming waterlogged, especially helpful in areas with heavy rainfall or clay soil. Crushed stone also discourages weeds from creeping in from underneath. For even better drainage, layer coarse sand above the stone before adding compost and soil. It creates a natural filtration zone that keeps root crops healthier and beds lighter to work. Add wheels to make beds movable. Not all raised beds need to be stationary. Attaching heavy-duty swivel caster wheels to the bottom corners of a raised bed lets you move it around as sunlight shifts or seasons change. Choose wheels that lock in place and are rated for outdoor use with enough strength to handle the bed's weight, including wet soil. Home tinkerers sometimes build rolling frames for cold frames or greenhouse beds. If you're working with concrete or patio spaces, adding a handle or rope loop on one side makes moving the bed even easier during weather shifts or replanting. Install tall trellises early. Setting up trellises before planting saves you and your plants a lot of trouble later on. Install sturdy wood, bamboo, or metal trellises at the back of your raised bed while the soil is still workable and empty. This ensures your supports are secure without disturbing root systems later. Use them for peas, beans, cucumbers, or even squash. Early installation also allows climbing plants to find support naturally as they grow. To keep vines trained, loosely tie them with soft twine or strips of old cloth every few days to guide direction and prevent tangling. Plant tall crops on the north or west side. Grandma always placed her tallest crops, like corn, pole beans, or sunflowers, on the north or west side of her raised beds. This prevents them from casting shade over smaller, sun-loving plants such as lettuce, carrots, or peppers. As the sun travels east to west, shorter crops receive full exposure without competition. It also helps improve airflow between plants, reducing moisture-related diseases. In particularly hot climates, placing tall crops to the west can offer welcome afternoon shade for delicate greens. Use this layout strategy when planning companion plantings or successive rows to maximize overall bed productivity. Smother lawn with cardboard, no-till. You can start a raised bed directly over a lawn without digging it up. Lay flattened cardboard over the grass where your bed will go, overlapping edges to eliminate gaps. Soak it thoroughly with water. Then build your raised bed on top and fill with compost and soil. The cardboard blocks light and smothers grass, breaking down over time while enriching the soil beneath. Many no-till gardeners swear by this method for creating beds without the backache. Avoid glossy cardboard or colored ink, and always remove tape and staples before installation for best decomposition. Drainage trenches to prevent weeds and water damage. Too much water around a raised bed can lead to rot, weeds, and erosion. Dig shallow trenches around the perimeter of your beds to redirect rainwater away. Trenches just 3 to 5 inches deep, filled with gravel or coarse sand, create a barrier that discourages weed growth and channels excess moisture. In traditional gardens, these trenches are often combined with wooden or stone edging for structure. Sloping the trench slightly downhill helps move water more efficiently. For extra weed prevention, line the bottom with landscaping fabric before filling with stone to block growth entirely. Plant marigolds for pollinators. Marigolds add color and purpose to any raised bed. Their bright blooms attract bees, butterflies, and beneficial insects, improving pollination and pest control. Plant them along the edges of beds or between rows of vegetables. The strong scent of marigolds is also known to deter aphids and nematodes, making them excellent natural companions for crops like tomatoes and beans. Choose single flower varieties for better access to nectar. Deadhead spent blooms regularly to encourage longer flowering. To start from seed, sow indoors a few weeks before the last frost, then transplant once the soil warms up. Scatter deadheaded flowers for reseeding. Let nature handle next season's planting. After deadheading, spent flowers like zinnias, marigolds, or cosmos, scatter the dried seed heads across open areas of your raised bed. This method mimics natural reseeding and encourages flowers to pop up the following year with minimal effort. Just be sure the seeds fall on bare or lightly mulched soil for better contact. Home gardeners often use this lazy gardener technique to maintain flower borders without constantly replanting. For even coverage, crumble the seed heads gently between your hands as you walk the bed, spreading seeds more evenly across the surface. Use logs and branches to save soil. Lining the inside base of a raised bed with branches and logs cuts down on how much soil you need to fill it. Start with chunky wood at the bottom, followed by smaller sticks, then layer compost and soil on top. This method mimics hugelkultur, a technique European gardeners have practiced for generations. The wood absorbs moisture, breaks down slowly, and adds nutrients over time. Avoid treated wood or resinous logs like pine, which decay poorly. For added structure, interlock larger logs like puzzle pieces before topping them to prevent shifting as the bed settles naturally. Top beds with fresh compost yearly. To keep raised beds productive, add a fresh layer of compost each year. Spread 1 to 2 inches of well-aged compost across the surface of the bed in early spring or fall. This refreshes soil nutrients, improves texture, and helps with moisture retention. In old-fashioned gardens, composting is a constant process, and no bed is considered complete without its seasonal topping. Over time, this practice also builds soil depth and encourages strong root systems. For best results, cover the fresh compost with straw or leaf mulch to prevent it from drying out or washing away after rain. Write planting dates on the bed. Labeling what you planted is only half the job. Recording when is just as useful. Use a wood-burning tool or waterproof marker to write planting dates directly onto the edge of your raised bed. This helps track germination times, harvest windows, and crop rotation over the years. Most gardeners often etch dates and crop names into wooden frames for a long-lasting record. For better visibility, mark both the planting date and the variety. If you rotate crops, add small marks for follow-up plantings to monitor spacing and make next year's planting even more efficient. Reinforce beds to prevent bowing. Over time, heavy soil can push outward against the sides of your raised bed, causing the boards to bow or separate. To prevent this, install cross supports across the width of the bed every 3 to 4 feet. A simple 2x4 board secured with screws from one side to the other can hold everything in place. Carpenters frequently add corner braces and internal reinforcements to extend the life of their beds. Use galvanized screws or coated deck fasteners to avoid rust. If working with soft wood, pre-drill holes to prevent splitting and ensure a tight, lasting fit. Build beds on hardscape with deep soil. You don't need a yard to start a raised bed garden. Hard surfaces like patios or driveways work just fine. Construct your bed with a solid bottom frame or line the base with landscaping fabric to prevent soil loss. Then fill the bed with at least 12 to 16 inches of high-quality soil and compost. The deeper the bed, the better for root development and moisture retention. Just ensure there's adequate drainage by drilling holes or slightly elevating one side. To protect the surface underneath, place pavers or thick cardboard below before positioning the bed. Focus tall crop placement, not bed orientation. Instead of worrying about which way your bed faces, concentrate on where you plant tall crops within it. Placing corn, sunflowers, or trellised beans along the north or west edge ensures shorter plants still receive full sunlight. This method optimizes light exposure while allowing airflow between rows. Gardeners often ignore compass direction entirely and simply adjust crop height to avoid shading smaller companions. To maximize space even more, interplant fast-growing greens or radishes between tall crops early in the season, harvesting them before the larger plants need the room to spread out. Layer cardboard against Bermuda grass. Grandma never trusted Bermuda grass to stay put, and for good reason. Before placing your raised bed, lay 2 thick layers of plain cardboard directly over the grass, extending at least 12 inches beyond the bed's perimeter. Water it thoroughly to help it settle and soften. The cardboard acts as a barrier, blocking light and smothering tough roots, while eventually breaking down to enrich the soil. This trick is especially effective when combined with a border mulch path. To improve results, check edges regularly and add more cardboard where stubborn grass tries to sneak through. Use soaker hoses or drip lines. Watering deeply and consistently makes all the difference in raised bed success. Lay a soaker hose or install drip irrigation lines before planting, running them through the length of the bed. Cover with mulch to prevent evaporation and keep lines secure. Professional growers favor these low-tech, efficient systems for conserving water and reducing disease caused by wet foliage. Connect to a timer for automatic watering during early mornings. If beds are far from your water source, use a gravity-fed system from a rain barrel for sustainable, off-grid irrigation that's both effective and cost-saving. Grow vertically with netting or fences. Vertical growing is a game-changer in small raised beds. Use trellis netting, cattle panels, or even wire fencing to support climbing crops like cucumbers, pole beans, peas, or small melons. Secure the structure firmly to avoid collapse as vines grow heavy. Growing upward maximizes bed space, improves airflow, and makes harvesting easier. Old-fashioned gardeners often reuse fence panels or handmade twig frames for this purpose. Choose soft plant ties to guide growth without damaging stems. For extra support, train tendrils every few days so vines climb evenly and don't sprawl into nearby crops. Pre-soak seeds for faster germination. Grandma always pre-soaked her seeds in a warm bowl of water the night before planting. This softens the seed coat and helps moisture penetrate quickly, especially for tough seeds like peas, beans, beets, and chard. Soak for 6 to 12 hours, no longer, or they may rot. Drain and plant immediately into moist soil. This method speeds germination by a few days, giving your crops a strong, uniform start. For added benefit, stir a pinch of compost tea into the soaking water to introduce beneficial microbes before the seed ever touches soil.